Jane. It is now. I apologize for tardiness. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Remain standing for an invocation. Pledge of Allegiance. United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear God, as we gather this evening, this council asks for strength, courage, and wisdom. We thank you for this wonderful town that we live in and the privilege it is to serve in it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Call to order the September 19th meeting of the Mooresville Town Council. Had a chance to read the minutes from our previous meeting. I need a motion to approve or amend the minutes.
I make a motion to approve previous minutes as written.
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Motion ready. 302. Under unfinished business, we have the declaratory resolution. This was brought to our attention last week. The council had a chance to write that. This is on personal property for Advance Arrow Incorporated. Mike is here if there's any questions of him. They are, this is a company that's been with us for a long time, just east of us here on Harrison Street. It is $107,000 investment in real property. This will be the declaratory resolution, Resolution 23, 2023. Are there any questions of Mike on this? Motion?
Motion to approve resolution number 23-2023.
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Greg, Jeff, 5-0. Item on the agenda is church and mission. The church is in mission, didn't it?
Good afternoon, council. Good morning. I'm Tammy Parker. I'm the president of Churches in Mission. We appreciate you allowing us to present this evening. I think received some documents from Susan. This is Susan Haynes, our executive director, and she has some things to short things to tell you.
And like I said, the first thing I wanted to say was just a thank you for the support of the town. And this is with the tornado, with the street closure, with our Indy HealthNet using the town parking lot. We've received such wonderful support from a lot of the folks right back there. And I just wanted to tell you how much we appreciate that. In your packet, I had sent some information about those we assist. Didn't know if you had any questions about that. I broke down the numbers. A lot of our documents have countywide numbers, but I broke down the 4615 zip code, just so you're aware of the numbers of families that we've been assisting over the past 12 months, the hundreds of families, hundreds of households, and thousands of people who've been receiving food and some of the other services that we provide, the clothing, the blankets, the classes that we hold, the rent and utility assistance that we provide through Salvation Army. And you also saw in that packet that our requests for assistance are up about 1.5 times what they were last year, same calendar, during the same time on the calendar year. Were there any questions on any of that information? And then I also just wanted to make you aware of, some of the things that we have done in the face of crisis within our communities, some of the assistance we've provided most recently with the tornado in Martinsville. As you're well aware, we don't have a Red Cross in Morgan County, so we were the immediate provider of food, water, blankets, and other items for emergency shelters. That's something that we have done on a smaller scale in several recent years, but we just want to let you know that we are there. We want to be able to help the town, help the responders. One of the things that, if you've ever been through a crisis situation like that, we have the immediate ability to receive the donations through our 501. We did that this last time, as well as receive donations of items, which is something that a lot of times when a community is faced with a disaster, a lot of people want to help by donating things. And we have the ability to take those in, get them sorted, and get them back out to the people who need them. So we wanted to make you aware, what services we can provide if that's ever needed. And then also, because we are a Salvation Army distributor for the entire county, we're able to provide that assistance at a larger scale if a disaster occurs. So what we do, to be aware of that, aware of what we were able to provide. We're not a branch of government, but we do have the resources for daily living that may be needed after a crisis. The two news pieces of paper that you received were just some reminders of other things that we provide. I know everyone knows we're a food pantry, but we do provide a lot of other services, not just the transactional, here's food, here's clothing, but some of the transformational classes and opportunities and resources for our families to move ahead. Our average family only visits us for food between 4 and 5 times a year, even though they could come up to 24. So just the numbers that you see, it's not always those same households every single time. It's a lot of different households stretching as far as they can. So that information is on some of those handouts. If you have any questions or need any more information about us, please let us know. We're just right up the street.
And one thing also, any amount that you guys would be willing to help us with. We are building a new facility, and it will be here in Lawrenceville. So we would like, if you would allow us 50% of that to go towards our building, 50% towards operational. But whatever you guys decide would be great resources we could provide. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I did have just a couple of questions. Just kind of going over because I did have the luxury of speaking with you. I know when it started, it was churches and mission. And how many churches are in Morgan County?
The number on our last mailing list was somewhere in the nearly 100. The number of actual having congregations is a little bit smaller. We have engaged with, in one way or another, whether it's donations, resources, a youth group coming over, sponsoring families at Christmas. We have engaged with more than 30-some churches in the county over the past couple of years.
The other 70 or 60 just not been able
Well,
to
some
reach?
of them, I'm not sure they actually, I went off of a database that had churches that may only be in name only. So whether they're active or have active membership, I can't say.
So you have at least tried to contact most of them. The government agencies here in town, and I know that you came to the town of Mooresville, townships, other towns, the county. Have you approached them with the same brochure and same requests?
Not at this time. Part of this, obviously, is because we have a new building project within the town limits of Mooresville.
I was trying to get all the information that I could on buildings and programs. Do you keep some type of numbers on the people? I know you have numbers on how many people you help, and thank you very much for doing that. But do they receive other assistance from in the form of government aid, either with food stamps, rent assistance, or poor relief of some sort?
Some of them do. We try to to talk with the trustees and some of the other organizations. The families who only receive food, as a cleaners agency, part of the Feeding America Network, we cannot require you to divulge any additional information if you are receiving food only. For families who receive Christmas clothing, Salvation Army, some of those other things, we can ask, do you receive TANF, WIC, what other supports do you have, and talk through more of that. So we don't have that information on 100% of our families if they just come to us for food only. But we do, when we can get that information, we have it.
So then you do partner with Gleaners on that?
We're part of the Gleaners Food Bank Network and the Midwest Food Bank Network. And then Gleaners is under Feeding America.
Okay. I love everything that was about this.
I appreciate the ask because that's something that people don't necessarily know about us. The document with the purple heading sets a lot of those commonly asked questions that we get, and one is, Gleaners and food banks. Who do we work with?
Do you have, and I know you said it was because you're building here in the town of Lawrenceville, do you have any future plans of maybe approaching the county at the council level or the trustees or throughout the county?
We've talked with a lot of trustees in the past, especially when we're working with certain clients. So we'll continue to do that, and we may.
Or is it liaison to try to get them to help from that?
We have actually 2 county council members on our board, so they're aware of Churches in Mission, and we do plan on going in front of them also.
Okay. Are there any more?
First.
I don't know whether that's good or bad.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Are there any other questions? Comments?
Would you talked about the Salvation Army and that sort of what would happen? How would that be mobilized, and what all would that involve if there was a big scale disaster?
Right. So throughout the year, every year, the bell ringer money that comes in from Salvation Army, Churches in Mission has it to utilize for families in need. So we have that, the Salvation Army checkbooks, etc., all year long for rent utility assistance. When there is a disaster declaration, we talk to our Salvation Army rep, and they have a set amount that they can give per family for the disaster. Some of those things that they can do that maybe some others can't, if you immediately need to go purchase, clean clothes, clean underwear, clean shoes, those kinds of things, they have some funds for that, as well as if you just need the tarp for your roof, or, they have a lot of flexibility in their funds, and we can immediately cut a check to the people for whatever that need is.
So they would supplement what you're doing, or would they take it over?
It depends on what it is. Hopefully we could supplement if we were able to provide, some immediate clothing, and that's not the urgent need, but the tarp for the house is the urgent need.
Did you have to go through some kind of process to get connected with them? I mean, was that a lengthy process, or
That's
have
something
been
we've
able to
been
get
the
it?
Salvation Army distributor for Morgan County for more than 10 years.
Okay.
Not familiar with all that they did to do it. We do have to recertify each year.
Oh, okay. I was just curious about it.
Thank you all, do wonderful work. And, anytime I get any extra money, I always send this.
Appreciate it very
I
much.
do appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just had the privilege of recently joining, so I'm amazed by the work you guys do. It's interesting. If
And
anybody has anything, clothing or anything, they take it all the time. They're always needing clothing. Awesome.
absolutely. And an open invitation anytime you'd like to come by for a tour or just to see what we're doing. We're happy to have you.
What are your hours? If I-
Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to noon, and then Thursday evenings from 6 to 8.
Thursday evenings from 6 to 8.
That's our Mooresville location.
For Mooresville, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We would be willing to meet any of you any evening also.
Absolutely.
So, just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.
is a request to upgrade our current operating system that is running our iRecord software, which is currently under long-term contract with Word Systems for maintenance and upgrades, and the potential of adding a single additional 2 terabyte hard drive to our current operating system. The digital recording system that we have, the iRecord, is for interviews, confessions, witness statements, etc. It's evidence used specifically in criminal cases. This is not affecting that software. The other software that's running on this device is the NICE software, which is the audio recording for the phone systems, radio systems, 911, etc. at the police department. On this device is also running currently the court system, audio visual, and I believe the audio visual in here. Diana, am I not? Okay, so what we're doing here is asking for just a simple software upgrade to that device. The software that's currently on it, Server 2016, is out of life, end of support for security, and bug fixes, etc. It was December of 2022. So when we were doing a routine upgrade and maintenance on the system, Word Systems let us know that the software needed to be updated, the operating system software, not theirs, not any of the others, just the OS system on the server running those devices.
Why are there 2 quotes?
2 quotes. One is with adding a 2 terabyte hard drive. The other one is without adding the 2 terabyte hard drive. The concept was for them to preload the new operating system, update it completely to its current status on the new hard drive, place it into the device, and then just move our data instead of having to spend the time updating the operating system, adding a new one, and then migrating data. It'll reduce the downtime from potentially 12 to 14 hours by using the additional hard drive in 4 to 6 hours. So we wouldn't lose the ability to use any of that system during that time.
Does it give you future space needed or after the install or what?
That will give us 4 terabytes of storage for that data, up from the current 2.
Are you approaching capacity now or?
We're about half full because the data, once it's recorded, it is backed up for a period of time there and then moved to a secure evidence server where it's held for the courts or transferred to the courts. The audio and telephone recordings, radio recordings are held for about 24 months. So this is simply an operating system upgrade to the current version of Windows OS.
Are you going to police budget for this?
Sir, I really don't know on that. I was asked to bring that presented for you. I was provided with the information by our provider, and then I sent this to you, to Diane and to you, so that we could either find the money to determine whether or not it was something we could do now, or there was something in the budget. If we need to put it off, we can.
So it's not something that we're working on now.
It's not something that has to be done this moment. What we are looking at is the current operating system cannot receive security upgrades and that type of stuff. So as more time goes out from the end of support on it, the more potential there is for failure.
It does serve yours. Does this only serve the police department's portion of it, or
No.
does it store all of this also?
It's for the whole town. The operating system is what the police department's two softwares run on, iRecord and the NICE verification. The other two pieces of software on there, Diane can tell you a little bit more. One's the courts, the other one is for in here, for recording. So it actually provides service to the whole town, not just a single department.
Comments or questions for Steve?
The extra storage is for actually the whole town.
Yes.
Does the prosecutor's office pay any of this still or no? Is it in their system or the iRecord?
What we record from it, we provide to the prosecutor. They don't pay any support on that at this point.
Did they?
No, they've never paid anything on that.
Comments from the council? Do you want to table this and find money, or do you want to approve it and then try to find money, or there's one that we keep having a reoccurring bill, and you and I have discussed this at great length at times about the back
The 58 something,
a month,
yes.
and will this fix that?
No, this is separate from that. However, that has been looked at, and we may be reaching the point that that data may be able to be deleted because it's past the state records retention law on that old archive data. There's certain data that has to be kept 7 years, some data has to be kept 10, I think. But when we pass that, then we no longer have to maintain
But we've
it.
still not figured out how to get it onto our hard drive, our storage.
It's commingled with someone else's. It's commingled instead of singled into one area. It's commingled with other data for the company that's providing the cloud service. Usually you would purchase a specific cloud.
So we don't know how to get it. Okay. Gentlemen, thoughts?
Can't wait 2 weeks till we can talk to chief.
Absolutely.
It's not gonna be catastrophic or anything.
No, we got it this early, brought it to the council, so we would be ahead of the game on this. You would have the data, you would have the information, decision could be then made.
Motion to table till next meeting.
Motion been made, do I have a second? Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Next motion table, Jeff, second, Craig, 5-0. Jeff, Craig, 5-0. Mike?
Council members, this evening we are introducing to you and asking that you would accept for procedures a tax abatement request for a new industrial spec building will be built in Flagstaff Business Park. We have a developer who we've been working with, Eric Osterhaus and his company, are proposing a 20,000 square foot spec building in the vicinity of Equipment Technologies on Hansel Parkway. And this would help us, as you've heard us say on occasion. We need space for the small manufacturers as well. On the matrix, what you'll see is that this would qualify for a 6-year tax abatement. We would claim that approximately $165,000 in new tax revenue over the period of abatement, while abating about $95,000, $97,000 back to the developer. So we're asking that you would accept this evening and forward it to legal so we can begin the process where we get this building put up here in Mooresville, post state, as soon as we get through your process.
We would have like a divided, one building or divided areas for different businesses.
Would have the potential for two small businesses. I anticipate it's going to be something where the entire 20,000 square feet is taken by a single user. If that would be appreciated, thank you.
Who would ever thought?
We have one of those.
Questions for Mike? Again, the redevelopment board had ventured into this area, this arena. We had granted a tax abatement for that building. Home purchase that was pulled off. So we could possibly see the same situation here.
On your respect building that the town redevelopment commission had, you recently sold it to Buffers USA. And you rescinded the tax abatement on the real property that had been previously established because of the sale price of the property was at a discount. But then you also recently allowed the finish of that building was about a $3.5 million investment you recently provided tax abatement on, along with about $300,000 worth of personal property that we're putting into that. So what we're asking again is based upon, this is a much smaller investment, it's about $1.5 million, 20,000 square foot building. But what we think is it will be equally important because we miss out on so many opportunities with small companies that look at Mooresville as a place where we want to do business, but we don't have the capacity. So what we've tried to do on the EDC side from the county perspective to help the communities is we'll find those developers who can create that capacity for the end users to move into. Because without that capacity, it's difficult for us to land those end users who have to wait for us to develop something. So by bringing this private capital into the community, complement what you've done, it just furthers our ability to bring new small business into town. And it will also complement what's going on north of formerly Packmore, Glandia, the Innovation Park 67 that CTC and Joel Frisk developed. Next to. So gives us the momentum going into these smaller manufacturers we know we need space for. That once we land in here, we can help them continue to grow here. One of those is a perfect example we worked on a little bit ago is Advanced Aero, as I noted during our introduction on that a couple of weeks ago. It's working on a larger project to help them stay in Mooresville and continue to grow here. And it's to find a place like this where we can create capacity. So you'll be helping us on that side with small business in a great way to this tax abatement there. Thank you.
Motion on that we would need would be for Jewel to proceed in pending or altering a declaratory and then eventually confirmatory resolution. Do I have a motion in that manner?
So moved.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Jeff, Josh.
I'll have that verified even before 8 o'clock. Fair enough. Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Would you mind staying just for a moment longer? Yeah.
Item on the agenda is Resolution 21, 2023, and this is amending the economic development area. This is the property north of Packmore, where I don't know, what'd you call it?
Park 67.
Innovation Park 67. The redevelopment board sent this to the council. Shane, I'm going to count on you to.
Would you mind just describing what's going on there, and then you just talk about it, and then this is to add to the economic development plan, and
know, we've talked about the need for capacity, to find end users, get end users in, and we have those sites that are ready. And so part of this has been, this developer, CTC construction team, or commercial team construction out of Indianapolis. Joel Fritz is the principal there. He has a company that had been looking around, looking at find stuff for a while, last 12 and 13, and had a difficulty on that site based upon some waterway incident. So then he realized that the 46 acres that Sam Patel had owned, north of what is now Glanview, would be available. And so we helped introduce Joel to down in Bedford, and it turned out where CTC is buying that 46 acres purchase that is now the owner of the developer of it, will be installing a road in there next year. I don't know if the road will start in 24, I believe. And basically, so what we're looking at is to expedite this process is the developer will build the road with the redevelopment commission in hand using the tax increment finance revenue to compensate the developer for the road. The first company going in will be E-Tank, which has already made overtures to the town, I think, through processes. And E-Tank is an industrial supply company that you've heard me talk about it here before. And then they'll also have room for additional spec buildings and smaller spec buildings on that site to give us the flexibility to move small companies to Mooresville so we can footprint them and grow them here. And also some space to the north for a couple of other speculative opportunities. So basically what we've seen, what we talked about in the last month or two here is the industrial development side of the community is on a roll now. And so I think that that's just what we're looking at this evening is to include this in the amendments to the town's comprehensive economic development plan. So it can be the process with Joel and the RDC. And we thoroughly support you on this because this is a win-win. This is what helps us to help you grow your tax base.
That's why I asked, because you could rattle all that.
I knew enough kind of mix.
He was already talking about it moments before, so I thought, why not take advantage? Plus, it's more informative.
Apparently, our redevelopment board had recommended this and sent it to the council and already passed it in the form of a resolution. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are there any questions from the council? This is a resolution number 21, 2023, amending the economic development area, creating an economic development area of the Patel property, Innovation Park 67. Do I have a motion?
Approve resolution number 21-2023.
Motion been made, do I have a second? Second. Motion made, seconded, all in favor? Aye. Greg, Josh, 5-0. Mike, thank you very much.
Thanks for helping out, Mike.
Next item on the agenda is the HVAC project. Sometime back, and it has been a long time ago, back in May, we sent out a request for qualifications on possibly replacing, updating, upgrading all of the HVAC systems throughout the town of Mooresville. Some of our systems are extremely old, some of them are fairly new. We had two qualified companies come before us or send in their qualifications. One was Train, the other one was the Mayor's Code. As to receive permission, we formed a committee consisting of Greg, Diana, Dave Moore, Tim Bennett, myself. We met with both companies. I see that Bill Roberson is here. He was with the Train Corporation, or I think it's Train Technologies, I think is what they actually go by. Train Technologies. Two completely different companies, but yet both of them, I think, have the same interest in helping the town. Train does things a little bit different. All of their equipment is approved by the state on, they call it something different, but the QPC or a qualified purchase equipment. The price on the equipment is set. They don't vary from it. What they would do is they would look over the entire town's assets and make a recommendation on what we need to do to improve or replace or enhance those systems. they would bid it out and then bring it back to us and say, we'll oversee it, proceed with the project, and then turn it over to us at the end of the day. They also said at that point in time that they would look at it and make sure that that was the exact and correct way that we should be doing the project. They didn't have an idea of how much the project would be, but they would look at it and they would do it at risk to begin with. The other company was Amerisco. They came in exactly the same compassion for trying to help the town. They look at it in a different way as far as they look at all vendors and all equipment. One of the meetings that I enjoyed with Bill, and I don't remember what the gentleman's name was from Train, is even if we go with one company or the other, Train could still be the equipment that comes in, and that price is already set. Our goal was to have someone look at it holistically as far as everything that we have, and then make a recommendation. Both companies would do all of the engineering, all of the design, and all of the specs on these. We're not pushing that off onto Dave Moore to do one more job for us. We would actually be hiring this. Both companies would do it at risk as far as the first part of the contract, the design, and making a recommendation and giving us a idea of what the cost could be. Greg's here, Dave's here, Diane's here. Any one of us can answer questions. I will say that at the end of the day, the consensus from the committee was we liked both companies, but we liked Amerisco just a little bit better. Their thought process did point us in a direction that we hadn't looked at. All of them knew exactly what we were doing as far as spending the money and where the money was coming from. One of the things that Amerisco has done in spending the relief money, the American Relief Act money, is they will give us a legal opinion that we can take to both the State Board of Accounts and the federal government at the end of the day and say, this is the project and this is why we think it qualifies for your program. They do look at grants and rebates as well as training doing that. If council has any questions, we would be willing to answer them.
Is there a proposal to look at?
The ones that they gave us in May, we all would have.
Oh, okay.
There's actually, what we would do at this point in time is, if we decide to go with either one of the companies, is we would ask Jewel to reach out to them and design and draw up a contract, and then they would bring it back for our final approval.
So there's no figures yet?
There's no figures yet, and both of them are or have agreed to do it at risk for the design, the assessment, and this is what, and provide us with an estimated cost. We cannot expect either one of the companies to do that. Both of the companies did a great job as far as walking around. They took both of them around and showed what we were up against. Train even pointed out that maybe the boiler system isn't the way you want to go. One of our committee members said, no, we'd really rather not go with the boiler system. So the engineering side of it, we're well equipped with either one of the committees, or either one of the companies.
What was the deciding factor to go with Amerisco versus the Train?
Amerisco, when it came in, at least for me, and I'm just speaking on my behalf, you can ask the others, when Amerisco came in, we get in trouble when we say the good old boy system. The comfort level with Bill Robertson is over the top. I trust him wholeheartedly. When they walked into the building and when we started the interview process, I looked at Bill and I watched his facial expressions because that's where my level of trust was. When Amerisco came in, they brought in the same number of crew, maybe a couple other people and I had that same level of comfort with them. They looked at and mentioned a few things that Train didn't, that they said, hey, you know, we look at everything. We look at how you can save money on utilities. We look at everything. Not that Train wouldn't do that, but these guys mentioned it. They were the ones to say, hey, we will give you a legal opinion to make sure that at the end of the day, when the federal audits come down on spending this Recovery Act money, that you have backup that we've looked at it and we're sure that this is acceptable. This is an acceptable use. Not that Train wouldn't do that, but they threw that out on the table. They threw out the grants, they threw out the utility rebates. They look at everything. The gentleman I spoke to from Train, when I asked him, he said, yeah, absolutely, we do that also. They brought it to our attention. It is a tough decision. It's a tough decision. You know, whenever we buy equipment, we ask our fire department to design a piece of equipment or spec a piece of equipment. We always ask them not to make it brand specific. Trains is going to be brand specific. This company here may very well use Train. I'm not saying that they won't. But what I'm saying is they're not going to engineer and design a brand specific. Trey, do you have anything?
I just like the way they were kind of able to look outside the box and just go with other ideas and just everything.
Like I said, Dave's here and Diane's here. We don't have to make a decision on this. We've been working on this and we came to this decision. We've huddled up 2 or 3 times to figure out where we're at on it.
Could we have them present to the council?
We'd be happy to, if that's what you would like to do.
Give them a fair shot, both of them, I guess. It's a big decision. It's going to be a big decision.
It'll be a huge decision. Bill, I'll call you and we'll set that up.
It's all, there's no motion to make, is there? Just have them kind of present.
I'll get hold of both of them and do we want to do that at our next meeting? I think our next meeting a budget meeting.
Yes, first reading.
First reading is next meeting. Do we want to go after that? I know we have some
I think the time on next meeting for the budget is just the first reading.
Yes.
And the public hearing would be the following meeting. So it's basically just to present the budget to the public, correct?
It would be the first reading of your appropriation law budget board.
Yeah.
You want to do that at our next meeting?
It's fine with me.
Sure. Bill, you're up next. Do what? Oh boy.
Be very brief and as concise as I can be. There's a lot of information to present, so. So, tonight I represent the department heads as we went through kind of information gathering stage. The Parks Department kind of kicked off this process internally of us looking at our current camera system, access controls, opportunities for the Morrisville Parks District.
project as a whole, as we kind of went towards the finaling stages of potential dollar amounts for a project of this caliber, we then went and found that police, fire, streets, wastewater, treatment plant, and also the government center also had the opportunity to look at the improvements to the system. So we wanted to put a stop into what the park system kind of started, and then incorporate every department within the town. As this information gathered, we had the four original companies that we started with for this process. One would be Fricata Systems. They came through the acknowledgement through our police chief. He started with a conversation with them and rolled them into the whole town package. Chrisman Communications, and then Security Pros LLC, and then CBD Business Solutions are the four corporations that we spoke to while we gathered the information. Each company had the same opportunity to see what we currently have infrastructured and across the town, and what it is that each department had, and each department itself was looking to improve upon the system. We do have two representatives from those four agencies, so we do have a representative from Security Pros LLC and also Grossman Communications here tonight. So if the council would ask any questions, they're more than willing to answer those questions for the council's pleasure. Tonight, before you, the department heads met last week, reviewed the information that was provided by the corporations, and as the council can see, it was lengthy into the details that each corporation went into with providing for the next steps. And I do thank for the department heads on reviewing the information and then providing their input. So tonight, we, as department heads, are representing, requesting for the next step for the surveillance and access control project to include what is before you. The next step, as we have identified, if you want to kind of call it the review committee, is to open a formal request for proposal for their information, not only for the four original corporations that helped us gather the information, but outside organizations if they would be interested. I would like to answer any questions that the council may have on this project.
So you're trying to, just so I'm clear, you're trying to replace the entire town system of surveillance, like cameras and stuff, and go into one contract town-wide.
Correct. So currently we do have Tailored Systems as our provider. They installed the system across the town in 2018.
And so even at the park?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
We do have some connection issues. I mean, we're talking 5 years, technology changes and advances very quickly, as the council may know, and people sitting in the public this evening. So this will be looking at the newest technology and advancements, but also each corporation took into consideration what is currently being operated and used, and how it can be modified or changed or repurposed. So meaning, if a camera, say in this room we have 3 cameras, the system would look at, well, that camera necessarily doesn't serve its purpose, but it may serve its purpose at this location. It's a good camera, it has good pixels. I can get into the weeds of all the technology, but I want to be as high level as possible this evening. Each proposal can be provided to the council for further review upon request. Absolutely, we were able to provide that for the council for further review. Any other questions?
Your proposals have figures in them, or are they just like saying what they would be doing?
Combination of both. So every group offered their best proposal of what their system would cost. If the council is interested, you're looking at a range of $240,000 to $320,000. This is 60 plus cameras across the town. system and 30-plus doors. The average cost roughly landed around $2,500 per camera and $2,300 per door system. The very comparable. There was multiple different approaches. There's scaling, so you see that kind of broad range, about $100,000 with the difference. You're looking at subscription-based process system to ownership. Ownership meaning you own the software, you own the licensing for the life of the cameras and the system itself. The subscription is represented at the lower cost. That would be the shorter time frame. That is at a 3-year lease, and that is the ability to use the software for that amount of time with the annual renew cost equally into what you paid plus the percentages of business increases. Potentially looking at 10% year to year, so 30% increase for that lease increase.
So this is looked at every camera and every door in the town.
Correct.
What about the door there that goes out to the street?
We have looked at every door system, and we absolutely can include into what is the capability of putting a door lock system on that physical door.
But it's not included.
It is not included. That was not part of the scope of where we were walking. So we looked at currently what is being offered and what could be included. So unfortunately, that was not one door that we spoke about during this process. But thank you.
Pricing they can account what they can use, or they got that far yet?
So each proposal has their technology, their system, their doors, the specs, the SKUs of the system that we used, and then what could be purchased as well. Did I answer that question? As you can see, our recommendation is going to fewer NVRs, which is the network video recorder systems. Currently, right now, a lot of the system is housed in the basement server of the police department. So we are looking for a system that lessens the NVR physical on-site servers and the proposed option of looking at the cloud-based server off-site server location.
It's all indoor or anything outdoor?
There is combination indoor outdoor. Parks pretty much all outdoor. I know this is a lot of information this evening, so I just wanted to come before you as a representative of our department heads as we've digested the information that was collected and wanted to put together the best option for the council's consideration moving forward with potential draft of an RFP.
Cool. So you've got how many? 4 proposals?
4 proposals.
With estimates. So you would have, because of the dollar amount, or is it because it's a service?
Yes, you're not talking about public works, you're talking about a request for proposal, and so you can go out and get it however you want to. And so you can expand and get more information, and my guess is they will probably update their information in response to the finalized request for proposal, because from what I got from what you were saying is, you said, hey, here's what we have, give us your ideas, they give you ideas, and this is what it's going to be, and now you guys have gone through and say, okay, well, this is what we want, and so it's going to change all of that, because they're going to be responsive to what the proposal request is.
So would you draft the final request for proposal, or what?
Yes, so you'll have something for me to take a look at, it'll be like this, and then we'll just cover that into the font. So.
It would be significantly more concise than what you have before you. So it would still be open for the company's perspective and opportunity for them to pitch their suggested idea for the best system, but ultimately try to stay within the scope of what the department heads have identified as what should be our system moving forward.
So I'm trying to see the process, so when those come back, they would be reviewed here, open here, or would they be able to review them, the department heads, and then recommend one?
I mean, we could set it up either way, just for transparency purposes. If you want to have them delivered into Diana's office, you can open them here, and you can backfill to take it back to take it
just wanted to understand that process.
We did have each corporation break out the total cost per department, so we can look at that as the opportunity, which drops it below that threshold, the 150,000 mark. So
Oh, yours will be mostly outdoors, but all the buildings and all the town buildings have outside surveillance too, or?
So, we have identified a few locations for additional cameras, being repurposed, or brand new. One of which would be, looking at, Indiana, road, either positional camera, a pan tilt zoom, system, either on this building or the town court fire headquarters, whichever provided the best viewing, capabilities. There we can keep active, traffic control. Also, when we do Main Street, shutdowns and street closure for street fairs, that gives the police department to be able to have active surveillance camera over a major event. So that would be one identified, but there has been identified locations for additional camera purposes. So we started at around 60 cameras. At the tail end, we were looking north, almost 80 cameras. So
We have around 60 now.
around 60, yes. And then we have 30 doors roughly under our control management system. Or, as the council may assume, most of those locked doors are at our police headquarters. So.
Curious, who monitors the cameras now? Who has access?
So the department heads have the access. My assistant superintendent also has access to it. The police department has full autonomy access to every camera system, minus the fire department. They are on a closed network DVR system currently, so they are not networked in.
But this would put network in.
This would network them, and the street department headquarters on Park Drive is also a DVR system. So this would include theirs. We left them out on the site walkthroughs as we saw only a few cameras being offered. So we were looking at the total cost per camera. So there we could do, if we acted on the quotes that we had before us, basically a change order action would be taking place to include that facility.
Questions for Phil?
Council, have any questions for our representatives from the two companies? If you'd like to.
Motion for him to draft a request for proposal, have Jewel approve it, and send it out, or tell them to stop and we don't need to know what's going on in this town.
Motion to approve to,
Motion been made, do I have a second?
second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Very good, Josh. 5-0. And that is for you to draft a request for proposal, give it to legal, they'll approve it, put a date stamp on it, and send it.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're up next.
I won't move. All right. Now, focus on primarily the park projects. So part of your packets included, we'll start with the Old Town Park projects, and that is the playground renovation replacement. With the council's help, we were able to install the prefabricated restroom facility early this summer, and it's been well received by our community. And wanted to initiate first. Thank you. I wasn't in the beginning process of that, but ultimately at the tail end of that process, it really came to the fruition of the benefit of the council's involvement with that project. This is looking at ultimately, kind of putting a ribbon around our Old Town Park, replacing our loved, very loved playground. It has seen its use. So we're working with two different companies at this time for proposals. The one before you is one that we have received a matching playground grant, and that's what I wanted to propose for the council's approval. This company, with the quote, does work within a QPC operating, so Omni Partners is their QPC, so that we can operate for their quote. It is a matching grant of up to $35,000. So the playground as it stands, this would be replacing the main playground structure. This new structure would expand the footprint by double, offering a playground system of up to 75 kids playing at one time easily. This would be replacing the current swing set that is there, actually adding an additional bay, adding 2 more swings to the playground, replacing the current loved merry-go-round, your standard steel merry-go-round, to a fully inclusive spinner, so including our ability youth in our community, and then also replacing our metal slide with a inclusive sit spin that would be self-propelled. The total cost of this project, which the council sees 4 different opportunities and wanted to provide the most information for you this evening. Our first initial quote landed at $82,000 and some change. This included the equipment and the blown-in mulch and border system. After receiving this initial quote, which is the one that was provided to our park board, they instructed me to bring this for the council's approval, but with a consideration of the change of the total cost of the project. So just equipment, this is not installation, will be just under $62,000. The equipment plus supervised installation is at $69,000 and some change. The equipment plus constructed installation, that is $90,000. So the offer and the difference between supervised and contracted. Supervised is their representative from their playground manufacturer to come out and supervise our staff who are certified in playground safety inspection and installation to make sure that we do it right. And if we find a speed bump during the installation, they are our brains to kind of help work through the process of the solution. The constructed contracted installation is that company, that playground corporation would hire out the installation of the playground equipment. This would be our hands-off approach. Our staff would be involved in some capacity for this playground development. This could expedite the time frame of completion, but ultimately there is a time ticking clock on this grant. So we have until the end of October to act upon this grant receiving. The catch with this grant is it has to be cash on hand, so full cash payment on order placement. So if you're looking at just the equipment, that would be a total investment of roughly $62,000. As identified in our food and beverage fund for this year, it was identified for $40,000 for a new playground, an additional $40,000 for a park shelter. So we're looking at utilizing both of those placeholders within the food and beverage marketing of this year's allocated fund within the food and beverage as the funding strategy for this project. I'll stop talking and answer any questions.
Would you say the 40,000 shelter and what else?
Playground.
The building shelter.
Yes, sir. But we've only truly identified one additional location that could sustain a shelter at this time. And that was after we've closed and removed the zip line structure. That is one of the locations that we have identified that could be the benefit of a new park shelter. But at this time, we have not identified that as the next approach within our park district. As the council is aware, you helped us purchase new mowing equipment that was identified within the food and beverage. We did, with your help and cost savings, being creative, saved $12,000 within that purchase of the allotted $60,000 that was in the food and beverage.
So if I'm reading this right, the install, 30,000, 29?
Correct.
Is that something you guys can do? Does that, if you guys do that, does that void any type of warranty? Does that?
No, the structure itself, the equipment would still have a manufacturer warranty for installation, if we did it or if they did it.
You guys can do it.
Most of, our crews currently have installed the majority of the playground structures that you see in the park system right now. So we have in-house installed majority of the playground systems. So this is within the caliber wheelhouse of the staff, and they feel very confident. They've reviewed the plans and specs of the playground itself and feel very confident of doing this.
So that's what you would recommend.
That's our recommendation, is that we would do the install ourselves. We would be able to do the site prep. The idea would be to install this over the winter of this year. With hopefully ribbon cutting of some sort coming spring. This one being a fun ribbon cutting.
Those restrooms open early?
Not yet. We are working on proposed options of trying to make that restroom facility into a Four Seasons.
So the photos are just different views of the same playground. There's nothing additional or omitted from these as far as equipment, right?
Yeah, the equipment, as you see, that is priced before you is within the imaging. The imaging is showing you a 360 parameter view.
That's what it looks
The
like.
last image is a bird's eye view of the layout. So as the layout stands, we're actually kind of flipping the structure. So we put the main structure closer to the cabin, allowing for the natural trees to provide shade structure for the playground itself, putting the two center activities still in the same location as where they are, but putting the swings closer to the new restroom.
How close would it be to the parking?
So this is our first step. We're looking at adding a walk path within that park to connect from parking to the playground structure to the new facility restroom. So being a trail, being fully inclusive, ADA compliant, to allow mobility chairs to be able to roll into the mulch.
What's the lifespan of this? Oh, did I interrupt you? I'm sorry, I thought you were done. What's the lifespan of this?
So you're looking at 20 years before we start to run into any color fading. A lot of the playground manufacturers now do what's called color fill. So the composite plastic or material that's being used, the color is throughout the unit. Meaning, so the structure, say it's yellow, the top roof, that yellow goes all the way through from top to the bottom. So if we have vandalism or that, we can sand it down, shade it. We can also have colored full match to recoat those playground structures.
Very good. I have one more question and then I'll back off so you can ask yours. I said I have one more question and then I'll back off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Joel, do you see any liability issue as far as installation goes, whether we do it or whether we hire them to do it.
Now, 'cause your installers, I think I heard you say this, are all certified. They have the same certifications, they'll be there, and then they'll all. Liability is not gonna be any more than what the liability currently is.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the playground area didn't overlap the parking stalls where somebody might hit the gas accelerator brake and endanger.
Yeah, no, we're providing those barrier systems and also the design of a trail or pathway to the play structure that would be those systems in place.
Do you have anything set out in your budget for the playground equipment? You said that the food and beverage was 40,000, this is 60,000. Had they expected to spend some out of your non-reverting on these projects?
It is the ask of our park board for this to be fully funded out of the food and beverage fund.
Did you have any budgeted for it?
No, we did not have any allocated funds within our operational budget for this year for a new playground. No. This is with the grant a roughly $80,000 playground that you're getting at half cost or almost half cost. So the way the grant works, we received around 32,000 out of that 35 matching.
We have it appropriated for a shelter and a playground. Two budgeted line items that are appropriated, combining into a single transfer to a single. All of that line correctly.
But can we pay for it before we receive it? I know there was pending legislation on that very same issue. And with this company here, it's saying in order to receive full grant funding, a check has to be given at the time of award.
I believe that you can. I don't have an answer for it. I can check the nature.
And that's the question. In the past, we haven't been able to fund anything until the job was done. There was legislation that, people weren't bidding on jobs because they couldn't afford to put the money out there, do the job, and wait to get paid. So there was legislation on the floor saying, hey, we will allow you to pay portion, all, some, prepay, and this is strictly prepay. So that would be our biggest hindrance right there. Have to transfer it into one fund. Can we get that done and have this, have all of our answers before October 27th?
Yeah, because the money's been appropriated, so it's just going to be transferred of previously appropriated money. And so it's not
Additional.
it's not an additional appropriation, so we don't have to have a hearing. So we can get that done, and I'll have an answer to you by next meeting about the prepayment of the cost.
That was the only thing that caught me off guard. Questions from the council?
Thank you, Mr. Hart.
Yeah, it would be, so this is part of their, it's Game Time is the manufacturer. The system is one of their identified grant recipient playground structures. So yes, it would be installed. Depending on color changes, custom order, but this is their standard. Also, we try to match the school corporation's colors as close as possible. The two questions before us are going to be whether
from the shelter to the playground equipment to make sure that it is covered in one expense. It is appropriated, but it needs to be transferred into one fund for that. The second thing is, part of the fine print says they want their payment upfront in advance. Before we weren't able to do that, and we just want to make sure that we can. Is that acceptable with the council? Or I guess the first thing is, does the council want to move forward with doing this? Is that in the form of a motion? So do I have a motion from?
I'll make the motion, we move forward.
Motion been made, do I have a second? Second. Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Pending legal's advice. Josh Craig,
Thank you.
thank you.
The other topic within the park project, the larger caliber project, and we took some time for that, so I will be concise. This evening, we are requesting for the town council's involvement and additional funding source for the park master plan of Pioneer Park expansion to include a new maintenance facility, an event center, pickleball courts, additional event and parking lot, inclusive playground, basketball courts, one to be proposed as covered, additional amenities and park revamped trail system on the northern side of the Pioneer Park. This evening, and you have sheets. I'm passing those off. This is the simplified breakdown of the total cost of that project. Before we jump into the numbers, I do want to formally and publicly thank a council member, Shane Williams, for initiating the conversation with the Redevelopment Commission and loop to the partnership with the Parks Department. Ultimately, really started this process, and with the leadership and guidance of professionals and our park personnel and park board, we were able to partner with the RDC with a funding of $3.1 million towards the total cost of this project. That would be the pickleball improvements, inclusion, playground, trails, northern entrance, basketball courts, and additional park restroom facilities. This evening, the park board has approved me to come before council with the ask of involvement with funding for the total structure and a needed assistance with the identified first phase of this project, and that would be the parks maintenance facility. Improving on our maintenance structure by adding additional and brand new building located behind the park office. The Parks Department has also initiated the first conversation starter, as we are willing to spend down the complete parks capital non-reverting fund of $550,000. I think it's like 550,222 to be precise. The additional funds or contingency would also be looking at potential use of the park program non-reverting fund. But right now, the funds that have been allocated and approved by the park board to present to council for consideration would be using the entire park capital fund. The ask of the council is the involvement of $600,000. With that being funded either food and beverage or creatively with other town reserves. $600,000 gets us into that 1.1 range that we have identified as the total preliminary cost of the new maintenance facility. This will include a 60 by 120 structure, additional cold storage into 2,000 square feet, the site preparation, storm water management, and also security fencing. I'd like to answer any questions the council may have this evening.
Where was this request when you took it to the redevelopment board?
So this was included So phase, one, as identified as the park, maintenance facility, was included in the total cost of the project. Funding strategies, included the total parameter cost. The identified choice from the RDC was going to the $3.15 million package, which included us receiving the Land and Water Conservation Grant, matching at $700,000, rating the total overall investment once completed at close to 3.9. The total cash spent by the RDC would be 3.15.
Okay. And you're saying that the total now is 4.8?
With that, there's contingencies put in place, some change orders, or preliminary as we go through the bidding process, and that these are all preliminary numbers, so they're subject to change. This is our best guess as what we can see as contingency, and that's what brought us to that 4.8 is included into the total cost. I allocated at the bottom of the sheet that you see before you at $1 million investment by the town. That I'll go into detail. The initial first ask would be $600,000. With an additional $400,000 would put us into the ballpark of not needing to go for a land and water conservation fund. This would expedite the time frame of our project completion. The project timeline with working with land and water conservation, we would issue the proposal in June of 2024, receive notice of either awarded or not in October of 2024. The federal timeline, once receiving that notification, is 6 months, which would land us in March of 2025. Project start would be late of 2024. 2025 would be groundbreaking, and then project completion could push into 2026, 2027. That is using the land and water conservation. That is their time frame that has been identified for this past application season.
So, what are you going, if we do nothing, you got the $3.1 million, what projects are you going to fund with that?
3.1, that is new pickleball courts.
Let's find it here.
So that is phase 2.
Phase 2, all of that.
Phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and the last component of phase 1, the renovation of existing buildings, event center. So you're looking at the total week with land and water conservation. We can sustain doing phase 2 through 4.
Okay.
With what the RDC has provided. We've also received, similar to what the council just considered for Woodtown Park, they have also increased the matching grant opportunity for $175,000 for the inclusive playground system.
Who's they? What do you mean?
The Game Time and Sniper Recreation has awarded the Parks Department for this project $175,000 matching grant.
For which park?
For inclusion playground. So with the same
At the main park.
yeah, so the phase 3. So if you see that the center column, the funding source, phase 3, you're looking at RDC, the Parks Department non-reverting, and then matching grant from Game Time.
Can you not move through the phases, beginning of phase 1, and leave something at the end for the grant? Your purpose in coming here tonight is to speed up the process, right? Is that what I'm hearing, waiting on the grant?
We to expedite the process, but also to ultimately completely fund our phase 1, which I identified as the first step towards project completion, and that is a new maintenance facility. Without a new maintenance facility, there is no event center. There is no parking lot that could be included because that would hinder the park operations of maintenance, and then that holds into the production and completion of the pickleball courts.
Why can't we start with phase one?
Phase one is what we're wanting to start now. We have met with the building contractors for the FBI was one of the building inspectors. They've built our buildings in the past, so we reached out to them for concept drawings and design blueprints. We are currently getting a topographical survey, so Parks Department is very serious about this project. We've already invested $55,000 plus additional spending to the end of this year going into our design build documentation. So we've already invested $55,000 to date into this project. So we are wanting to move forward with the process of phase one.
I think what he was asking is a similar question to mine, is why can't the 3.15
Yeah, why can't we start?
go to phase one?
Right.
That is not the identified use of the 3.1 by the RDC. The RDC identified that pickleball, the event center, the renovation of existing buildings, the inclusion playground, basketball courts was identified with the use of that 3.1.
But the 40,000 in food and beverage wasn't identified for that, and we were able to change it. It was for shelter. So I mean, I guess
We can,
let's not be real rigid here as far as when you say that the changing the existing building or to an event center. Okay, so the maintenance building is and maintenance storage area. Is it going to cost $500,000 for a parking lot and storage area?
yes, sir. The building itself, the 60 by 120, is rough cost at $180,000. That is just the shell of the building.
Okay.
You're looking at additional, and this has been provided for the council breakdown of further than this. I tried to simplify the numbers. The numbers ultimately have not changed. We've received a quote of what a new HVAC system would be for the event center to get preliminary quotes and costs, and everything's lining up to our preliminary costs are adding up to correct. Their preliminary figures are close to the money, is what we've projected.
For the parking and outdoor storage area. That's what I was looking at. You got it at $500,000.
Yes, sir. So that is asphalt into the entryway of the new maintenance facility with the subgrade of crushed stone as the perimeter base to increase our operations and flow of how our maintenance crews work and how they ingress and egress out of the maintenance facility. The site amenities portion of the parking lot and outdoor storage area as well is also included in the perimeter security fence, which we are working with actually four different fence companies for preliminary quotes on what those may come into. You're looking at roughly 1,000 square feet with a fence line to secure the property and the investment of the town and also the parks system.
So without our help, you don't need you're not going to renovate the existing building for an event center, is what you're saying.
Without having a new building structure, my crews, my maintenance facility personnel won't have a building to operate out of.
I think you would start with the 3.1 on phase one, work your way down.
And what was said at the redevelopment board? Did you guys tell them not to do one, or
I don't remember saying that exactly. I just remember approving 3.15 million.
The 3.15 million was the option I identified, everything but maintenance. Was the option that was chosen. So, we have to review the minutes, and also the draft, interagency agreements, but we can always have the conversation of utilizing the 3.1, million as the Kickstarter, to get the facility, utilizing, park reserves and that for other strategies. So tonight, I'm simply trying to start the conversation of this is, Parks Department is willing to put $550,000 onto this project. RDC is willing to put $3.1 million towards the project. This has been identified within the comprehensive plan that the town went through this year. That park system is one of the key aspects of that comp plan. And we're just trying to activate on that direction within that plan.
Comments or questions?
If you get the $700,000 grant, the town would not have to put the $600,000 in, right? Or am I reading that wrong?
The 700,000 increases how far the 3.1 can go. The investment for the town would drop. At this time, I can't speak to the exact figure, but it would be less than 6,000. Put these numbers together. This is my numbers working off of the preliminary numbers that we've sent to Baker Tilly for review, and also with Lehman & Lehman, the professional consultants. So at this time, I can't speak to the exact figure of if there would be any town needed additional funding for the completion of this project.
But you're asking for $600,000.
$600,000 would expedite the process and would, if you put a seal of completion, $600,000 would get us darn close to rocking and rolling. Our time frame would increase. There's a lot of moving pieces and components with this project. We're considering and meeting with contract, construction design, and construction management firms on expediting this process for us to, as park staff, to focus on our day-to-day operations. And our main primary focus is being a town employee while being able to still complete this amenity for our community members. So, a lot of moving parts.
I think Jewel, if the redevelopment commission did indeed lock themselves in, like he's saying, I think the first step would be go to them and have them, can they amend that?
Yeah, I mean, the redevelopment commission could take subsequent action if they want. So if you're saying that the way it's broken down here, where the redevelopment is paying for the Reno, phase 2, inclusive playground, and then phase 4, and those individual line items, if the redevelopment commission can say, you can take this funding that we've approved and apply it to whatever project you want, I mean, that's up to the redevelopment commission. So that can be done, and Phil, just so I understand what you're
I think he should represent to the redevelopment commission, get that amended if it even needs to be, and then move through the phases and reapproach the council later and or the redevelopment commission.
So what
Is that what you're thinking?
yeah, because when I'm looking at this in your spreadsheet, on phase 1, you have 472,847. Have not identified So there's nothing that the town could do tonight to say, yes, we have this money, we're going to give you. Unless you have.
No, our sole purpose tonight was to initiate the conversation and start with the conversation. This has been something we've been working on for 6 months. The process of a reapproach RDC, we can absolutely do so. I can do that through the remainder of this week to start that process of reapproach or fine understanding of the expectations. I can speak to their legal counsel of what is where the interagency agreement is, so that would answer probably the majority of our questions that we have this evening.
Well, we can't do. Exactly. Is that acceptable to the council? Yes. Yes.
Yep, not a problem.
Hey, do you have the department head report?
Disc golf tee pads have been fully installed. We are working on permanent signage. We still have a crazy amount of users each day, and if any council members would like to take a tour of the new 18-hole disc golf course, I would love to do that. That is it. Thank you.
Department heads. Do what? I did not see that. I did not see that. Okay. Dave. Sorry, Dave. That's all right. I'll just incorporate it all in this. Okay. One trip. So, good evening. You can all probably have seen that we're approaching the finishing stages on Monroe Street. They're doing a really good job. In a meeting with the contractor the other day, if you all remember, we bid this project, and the first bid came in extremely high, so we kicked that out, trimmed some of the fluff off of it. However, in my most recent meeting with the contractor, we talked about the east side sidewalk, the east side of Monroe. He said he could do that as a change order. If we would like to do that, material cost, he would honor with what he's doing this project, the west side. If we would like to do the sidewalk on the east side, the change order would be the amount of $124,346. We thought about doing it in-house. We've got leaf season coming up. Difficult for the street department to get it done before winter. So I can take any questions.
How much was it?
$124,346.
Jeff, you and Shane worked on this project. The intentions were to put that on there. When you discussed that, was that the area? Is that the dollar amount that you were thinking, or?
Yeah, and that was included, I thought, but I thought we were doing the work in-house. I mean, I don't know. We talked about doing the work in-house. Like I said, leaf season's upon us. We were going to wait till this contractor got out of the way, so we didn't have. I mean, it's a mess there right now anyway. We were going to wait till they got out of the way so we could get in and do it. However, meeting with the contractor, he said, "Hey, we can do it as a change order. If you guys want us to stick around, we'll get it done since we're here." And
I'd like to see what was the original bid.
it was included in the original bid, and it was exactly what it was, over $2 million for the entire project.
Right.
During discussion, during the.
I also thought the street department was going to do it too. I'm not sure. I want to see see the original documents.
You thought, you don't think that was in the original $2 million bid? You thought we were gonna do
But I
that?
wanna see what they put in theirs.
The original bid was bid by the
No,
town.
the walls. I wanna see what we approved for them as a council.
Oh, for what they're doing now.
I mean, because I know that we approved the part that we knew that we could use the grant money on. Is that what you're talking about?
Community crossings.
Community crossing grant money. But the sidewalk wasn't in that,
Oh, yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
because we weren't replacing.
That's correct. You're right.
You had to pull that out.
You're right. When do they need to know by? How long are they gonna be here?
They're probably another, I can't say exactly, but just looking at the project, they're probably gonna be here another week doing concrete, and then the mill and overlay will start striping.
The right of ways that we purchased, that Manning identified, those give us the room to go in there and do the sidewalks. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And it also gives us for the, on the properties that we didn't own the, right of ways at all, even out on the road, those are all done. We're pouring blacktop.
Correct.
We're laying blacktop.
And I can't say they're all done. Harbor Manor Apartments, Harbor Manor, Churchill Drive, they're holding up a little bit. Their lender has a lot of questions, so we have not secured that one.
But we have a right of,
We have a right of entry. Yes.
So they,
Yeah, it would not affect the other side anyway.
no, the sidewalk was part of the right of ways that we purchased. It was planned, it was ready to go. And that $124,000 addresses the, walls or the barrier walls or the one house there in Washington and everything like that, that addresses all that. We don't have to
It avoids the big retaining wall.
retain it, that's what.
Now, part of the project that they're doing now that they're underway with is the ADA accesses on the east side. However, the remaining sidewalk connecting all of those is what this change order would cover.
That was part of the conversation, was the ADA ramps.
I thought you guys were gonna do it.
I think we can, but it would be probably in the spring before we would get to it with leaf season and winter coming on. We're in winter.
What would it cost our guys to do that? Because the 124 seems high to me.
I haven't put actual pen to paper. I'd have to look at
Or is this pricing fair? I'm not familiar with construction.
It's in line with what they're doing now. The same material costs. Yeah, they just extended that to this.
So they have some tree removal and stuff like that. Okay.
There is a couple tree removal. However, we can't do that in house.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's
But that's included in that 124,000, that's everything.
That was not included in this quote.
But it will be me.
That's that's a one-day job for the street department.
I don't know what those conversations were as far as that project. I know thinking,
Conversations were that the street department was gonna do that, save us some money, that's why we have them do it.
even then, that was a conversation. Oh, okay, cause I thought it was bid in that $2 million bid that we got in, I thought that was.
Well, they were going to, but they took it out, remember?
Yeah. That include traffic control and all that as far as their bid, or are you gonna still have to send a flagman over there to do that?
No, this includes, traffic control, continuation of what they're doing now. Traffic control, pouring in concrete, just the trees was not part of what he and I talked about. There are a few hiccups that, this project, ideally, we wanted to start when school let out last year. We had a few hiccups, it didn't start as we wanted. It started, I think, the day school started back up.
Yeah, we're hoping to have it done before school
So
starts.
it's just throwing everything back, and, the idea of the street department doing it over the summertime when there's, less traffic, less school buses. And quite frankly, watching how things are working up there, it's a lot. There's a lot of traffic that it's very contentious. They're doing a good job of handling it.
School's not mad at you. No one was cursing. Okay. Well, it's up to the council what we're going to do. I don't even, we don't even have to have the sidewalk there. I think part of the whole plan was to put the sidewalk there because we had previous, not complaints, concerns about foot traffic on that side coming to school. Talked about the crosswalks and all of that. At a previous meeting, when we started, when it went from donated easements to $110,000 to buy easements and rights of way, we did transfer $250,000 from the riverboat over into this project. That said, right now we have $181,000 left in that earmarked for that project. Don't think that we have bought or paid for all of the easements, but I think we have paid for most of them. There were some pretty big ones in there. The school was gracious enough to donate their easement. That helped us a bunch there. But I think they have all, to the best of my knowledge, they've all been signed and sent back. Is that the way you say it?
That's all in being right to it. Okay, so.
Yeah, I mean, we're working there, so I'm assuming that. So the council has, 3 options: do nothing, table, or move forward with it.
Do you think we're gonna go over that 250 that you just mentioned?
250.
The riverboat. I mean, including the easements.
Where's Phil?
The easements.
The final easement, we're down to one. I think it was $3,000 or $4,000 for this.
What do you recommend?
I'd like to hire Wallace to do it, to change order, get it done.
Can you get quotes on the trees?
Trees, we'll do those in-house.
Oh,
They're not that
you
big.
can, they're not, okay.
It keeps a lot of kids on that side. There's a lot of houses up there that it keeps the kids on that side from having to cross all together. Right now, they kind of have to cross and then cross back, if they,
But the fact that I think the baseball team now travels that way to practice and play games.
they fan out all over the place down through there, so it would keep some of them on one side, all the way up through there.
Making a pretty big effort to make pedestrian safety the priority of this project.
What is the threshold?
So if you go a little further.
You remember what the total bid was on the community crossing matching grant on that project? 1.2?
1.2 and change.
You remember, Jeff?
No, not offhand, I don't have the total.
I didn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
When the committee on this, on the Rose Street project what was the bid?
Oh man, I don't have it memorized either.
Had it been under 1.3, we wouldn't have been able to do it. Correct.
But I want to say that we only received like $750,000. It might have been 1.2, it may have been 1.02. What we're trying to do is see if
It's 20% of the total change order, so.
okay, we're good then. We're worried about the change order being above the threshold of the project.
We're good. I'm sorry, I didn't have that memorized.
Dave, are you going to ask for anything else? We didn't ask Phil that the first time.
I asked not to have to do a department head report. No, but this is all I would like to talk about tonight.
Council, what do we want to do?
You're certain it doesn't affect the retaining wall?
Correct. Speaking with the engineer, we have 4 inches between the edge of the wall and the retaining wall.
Because they've been posting on social media that people are telling them otherwise, and I've never heard anybody say otherwise, but I saw it on social media the other day about the retaining wall.
We're on the phone just the end of last week.
Yeah. Okay.
False statement. Per se, I mean, has it been looked over?
Yeah, I would say, Banning's sends out their survey crew, they look at everything. It's been there a long time, it hasn't moved.
Take a move for somebody walking down through there.
About the retaining wall. We had numerous conversations about the retaining wall with the engineers. I mean, I know that. Just told them to pay especially close attention to that area.
Shane, this was your project. What do you want to do?
Make a motion to move forward with the change order.
Okay. Motion been made to accept the change order. Do I have a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Shane and Jeff. 5-0. You need the contract.
Yeah, we'll probably have to we'll need a form for that change order.
Dave, did you hear that? He'll need a form for that change order
Change order.
to approve it.
I'll have to draw. We'll also probably have a form. Change order form.
Should have never had to do it because of the state.
Matt?
Couple things real quick. If you remember last meeting, we did put out a conditional offer for employment. He has accepted, and if Perfect gets paperwork done and everything like that, he could start by the next pay cycle.
He did send in for physical and mental evaluation.
He is a lateral. We did not do that.
That's not what we said.
And we need to do the physical and mental. Send it back to Perth.
He did I don't know, maybe you weren't here, and that's when George Russell was here and presented it. I think we were 100%, I think we were unanimous in the fact that we felt like all of the other departments that you sent us the paperwork that said, hey, here's their lateral plan, all of them still did the mental and physical perf test prior to hiring. And I think we were abundantly clear on that. That did not get conveyed to you. You need to find out why.
I can check in on that.
Anything else?
The other thing is that with the roof being done, the inside job was completed. That did go to the lowest bid, which was Midwest Recreational. That total was $12,640.73 for the inside job, not counting the $6,000 for greasing the FDC.
That was the damage from the water. We were not fortunate enough to have that cost 10 times our deductible, so there was, that should be within the threshold of, that will be within the threshold of the $5,000 deductible. Our treasurer's office will work with Matt on finding a way to pay for that. Anything else?
I have nothing further.
Okay. Please make sure that the new hire is sent for those evaluations. Wastewater treatment. Hey, listen, I didn't forget him this time.
I don't have very much.
Continuing to look at our obstruction in our alpha 100A. We're using LO2 at this time, and we're going to have to take some type of bid to get it cleaned out. So we're in the process of looking into that. And we're maintaining our limits, we just need some flow. So that's pretty much all I have. I gave a tour this last week. And anybody who wants to come over, have a tour, we'll give you one. Took Josh on one the other day. Glad to have him show you what $1 million, $20 million kind of one. What all we have to do. It's a lot of work.
On the outfall, there were on one of the inspections, we found that it was bypassing one and going to two. Not a problem, not a health danger or anything like that, but just was not working by design.
They found out.
He has found one company to clear that outfall line, but the bid was pretty substantial, and he's trying to find other places that are bid.
It's going to have to be done. The state's going to require it. So.
The other thing, while he's up here, in case there's any questions for him, HNTV on their contract extension have reached, they do it in annual segments as far as service contracts. They're not raising their price any, but they are asking to extend their contract for up to another $50,000. Last time we did it for $40,000, and that took us through a year. And that is the help that we need there as far as with our agreed orders with the state of Indiana. Again, the loss that we suffered at our wastewater treatment plant, and they're helping Calvin and Mark get through this tough time. Dan had a lot of knowledge, and Rogers seemed to help us. So they have made that request, so I do need an approval of the council to go ahead and extend that contract if acceptable. We have been paying that contract out of food and beverage.
Motion to approve the contract with HNTV.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Great, Josh. 5-0. Did you have anything else?
No.
I want to say again publicly, you're doing an amazing job, Calvin. Thank you very much for all that you're doing for us.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all of our department heads. We do not have, please. Legal counsel.
All right, I'll try and be quick. So, first order of business on this is tied to the opioid settlement. If you recall, the original contingency agreement
settlement was reached. 7% of it, as a contingency under the statute that was passed by the Indiana Code 4615. What's in front of us now that I would need for approval from this council is to have that 8.7% apply to all of the opioid recovery dollars that are covered under Indiana Code 4615. All. Essentially, it's a good thing. It's reducing the contingency to be taken from the opioid settlement dollars.
Motion from the council.
So moved.
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Jeff Shane, 5-0.
What else do you tell them? You need to tell them. You look tired.
Next, real quickly, we discussed two pieces of property, 315 Bolton Avenue and 201 East Washington Street. The properties that were brought up in the last meeting. We talked about the options here. Our recommendation at this time would be to send the letters out to those locations for the cleanup and repair and start the process there. We discussed the McGuire property that had gone through a share sale, so it muddies that a little bit. I still think that in speaking with the people who just purchased it out of share sale, my recommendation would be send a letter as well to the individuals who are there to vacate because it's not a proper premises, and then we start the process there as well. That timing on that one, and when we get to completion, it's going to be a little bit weird because of the share sale, but we can at least start the process on that and at 201 East Washington.
What these are going to do is it's going to send a legal notice to them of what we actually need has to be done.
And they will have a right, should they want. So it's essentially an order from us. They have a right to take that to the court to challenge it.
They will take it to the court. So why does they have to do it? Okay. Questions or comments? Motions?
Motion to allow legal to move forward.
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Please move forward on both of those. Public comments. Is there anyone here that wants to speak?
I have a question about the recycling.
I'm afraid that right now that is what the county is saying that they're going to do. That is always done through the solid waste district. That has always been funded by the county. Apparently, from what I gather, both read and been told, the company that was doing that, they raised the cost extremely high, and so they did not just pull them out of Mooresville, all of them throughout the county. I do think they were looking at other options, but they had nothing on the horizon to help us.
It's already a lot of times it's bad, but nothing being there. I know how people are, it's going to end up becoming a dump area, I imagine.
I think that was part of the problem, and it was kind of sad that services provided for the fine people of Mooresville, and just a few bad eggs spoil it.
Couches, all kinds of stuff over there. I don't agree with that. Yeah. Okay.
Anyone else? Yes.
I'm here on behalf of the senior center, and he didn't get on the agenda for some reason, but as you know, we've had a devastating thing to happen this year with the flood and that sort of thing, and I'm here to ask on behalf of the center that you increase our funding, that we haven't had anything, you funded us in the past but we haven't had any kind of increase since 1999.
We did address that at our last meeting. One of your board members had approached me and asked, and all I said was, to the council was that it had been brought to our attention, that while we have been a willing and happy participant in the past, that the question was raised, could we look at possibly increasing that? Now, we make that donation usually after the first of the year. We talked about possible funding sources. Tonight you saw a good example of someone else coming in and asking for money. We've got to be very cautious on how we address each and every one of those.
We understand that, but I just wanted to, ask personally about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up there.
Timeline going to be specific on, okay, is it something that, I need to work with Bennett or just with, the board here, or who do I?
Well, Tim, the one who's signing off on it, to make sure that it's in compliance and, not a public, hazard and unsafe building under the code, so.
Okay. That's all.
We'll receive the letter, and as he said, if you disagree, you can take it to the court. I think
What court would that be?
it would be hometown rule. It would be town enforcement.
All right, thank you.
Any more public comment? Motion for approval of payment of claims.
Motion to approve accounts payable vouchers in the amount of $497,228.91.
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Greg, Josh, 5-0.
Motion in the accounts payables and payroll clearing to approve $197,725.64.
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Greg, Josh, 5-0. Town council comments?
I'm done.
Not this evening.
None. Our next council meeting will be Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. 5-0.